Jakki, thank you so much for joining me. I would love to know, why did you get started with the Guelph and Area Right to Life?
Well, because I was president of the Catholic Women's League at the Basilica of Our Lady. And we had a call from the Right to Life to say that Henry Morgenthaler was coming. Dr. Henry Morgenthaler had been invited by the University of Guelph to give a talk in War Memorial Hall. To be honest with you, I had no idea who he was.
Right.
Hardly knew the Right to Life. Had no idea what abortion was.
Okay. Wow.
1985. We'd been traveling, we'd come to Canada, and we settled here. And so suddenly you start looking at what the country's like and what's happening. Anyway, so we have this massive great banner that is for the Catholic Women's League. And I'm tall to begin with, and I always wear heels. So I'm at this event, and there were 1,500 actually at it. It was amazing.
Okay.
Just outside with candles, praying, wishing that Miss Dr. Morgenthaler hadn't come, but that maybe the microphone would stop. But anyway, so we were outside, and the newspapers were there, and there were interviews. And I honestly was standing under this banner, which made me about 12 feet altogether with this thing, saying to God, please don't let anybody ask me why I'm here. And that sounds ridiculous, but that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And of course, what happens, all the news people. And so one of them said to me, are you against abortion? And I went, that's literally what I did.
Just nodded your head.
Yeah. And he said, all abortion? And I went, and he said, and your family too? That was it.
Yeah.
My son did a much better job. He was 12, and they asked him what he thought of Dr. Morgenthaler, and he said, I believe he's a dishonorable man.
Wow, you're 12-year-old.
My 12-year-old. And here's me, 37, 36. And I really knew nothing. And I swore that night, actually, that I would never, ever, as a Christian, go out there unequipped to defend what God had me doing. And that night, the Right to Life had invited Beth Hadland, and she was a speaker on chastity, actually. And she showed us a film called The Silent Scream.
Right.
And those people that know me know I've always got something to say. It silenced me. I couldn't speak. And we went home, and my husband Paul said to me, are you all right? And I said, I just can't believe what we've just seen. Because I watched this tiny little baby, first time really, because when I had my children, we didn't have ultrasound. It wasn't in quite the dark ages, but it was long ago.
Okay.
So I'd actually never seen a little one in the womb before.
Really?
And you see this tiny little 12-weeker, and just so beautiful. And then you watch, it was all in black and white.
Right.
You watch the instrument, and you watch pieces of the baby disappear. You watch the little one try and move away, and I just was so shocked.
Mm-hmm.
So shocked. So when I went home, I knelt down and I blamed God.
Okay.
I just said, why do you let it happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say I was spoken to by God, but I just got this sense, I gave everybody the choice. This is what they're choosing. Do something.
Right.
So I did the silly thing, actually. I called the Right to Life and said, could I get involved?
I don't think that's silly.
Well, no, but afterwards you think,
right.
Because I knew nothing. I knew I was not equipped. And they took me on board. They made me president almost immediately. And then most of them walked away because they were worn out.
Right, and you had that passion.
Keith Cassidy, who I think you'll be interviewing soon, he came to my home and he said, Jakki, there's just 12 arguments. And I remember going, 12 I have to learn. But anyway, that was sort of the beginning. And I just thought that people can't possibly know that there's a baby there.
Right.
They can't, whatever they want to call it, embryo, fetus, whatever. they can't possibly know, because if they did this, they would never abort a child.
Right.
But you soon learn people don't want to know.
They don't want to know. That's the thing.
And in those days, at least, they listened to you. Nowadays, you say there's a child, a human being in the womb, and no, you're telling lies. It's misinformation, disinformation.
Right.
But anyway, that was the beginning.
Okay, yeah, that's quite the story for sure.
It's all part of life, isn't it? This
Right.
is what happens to us, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I did feel that God just took me by the scruff of the neck. I really I did.
Yeah.
And there was a cartoon a few years later that had, and it was just a really funny looking cartoon, and there was a big hand, and he'd got this, looked like a disciple, by the back of the neck, and he was reading the book, and he's saying, "God, I just wanted to pray about this. I didn't want to do anything." Dropping him in the middle of all of the stuff, and it's sort of how I felt.
Right. Yeah. You had to do something about it.
But it's been wonderful.
Right. So why do you think Guelph and Area Right to Life, the pro-life work, why is it so important?
It's important because we're witnesses. And I know very, very early on, I'd just been doing some research on history, on Nazi Germany and things like that.
Right.
And I was reading how important it is not to forget. When we forget that other human beings are human beings,
right,
we can't forget that we forgot that. But we can't. We mustn't ever.
Right.
And so I thought, this is somewhere that we can witness to life. And wasn't really expecting all the opposition we got. But, we started the vigil at the Guelph General Hospital.
Right.
And I think they were there for about 25 years. Every Saturday morning we were there, just praying. That was it.
Yeah.
We prayed for an end to abortion. And the last doctor, God worked that out. He came to Guelph, put his children in a Christian school.
Right.
And the principal of that school came to me and said, "Jakki, he's the abortionist and his children are in my school." I said, "Oh, what an opportunity."
Yeah, exactly. What a witness.
And they walked together. I won't say names, but they walked together. And in the end, the abortionist came and watched us a couple of weeks.
Right.
At our vigil. Didn't ever come over, but just watched.
That's amazing.
And then we were told that he had a piece of scripture, and it was, I'm a Catholic, so I know it's in the book. I can't tell you where.
Okay.
You might be able to tell.
Yeah.
That what does it gain a man if he gains the whole world? Profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? And it was that scripture that stopped him.
That stopped him. Wow.
And we had a pro-life daughter. She's still around, but she's not a physician now. She said to me that all the pro-life doctors in town came alongside him because he didn't know how he was going to tell people.
Yeah.
He was stopping.
Right.
But they supported and helped him, and so he did. And then there were no more, as far as we knew and currently know,
right,
abortions at Guelph General.
Okay, so many followed him out of that practice, shall we call it?
So it's you never know what's going to happen, and we were shocked, right? And this is what I say sometimes. We prayed 25 years for it to end, and when God did it, we couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
And of course, it's the Shaw Centre here in downtown Guelph.
Right.
It is referring for abortions as far as we know, and also handing out these abortion pills.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing changes.
Right.
That was, we started that. Then we started our Walk for Life, which is still an annual piece. And of course, the Michael House Project came in the middle of all of that. And then the Garden of Grace for some families that have lost children. And we've had our really big, I guess you could say, arguments, they are arguments, with the university students at Guelph.
Right.
I've forgotten. It was one of those big long titles, the name of this group. But anyway, they decided they were going to tell us where we should be.
Oh, okay.
So this Saturday they had an event downtown. And they actually, I mean, for us, I was used to it by then to have, storming at us and painting things, telling us where we should go in not very nice words. And our office was at the TD Bank on Cork Street then, and they couldn't get in because it was a weekend, but they painted all terrible things all over the wall and the entranceway to the TD Bank.
Right.
But what really surprised me is they did the same thing to Birthright, which was the pregnancy support group.
Okay.
And, I just, why would you do that?
Right.
And so I wrote on our behalf a letter to the dean, and I said, maybe you could tell the students that we can have very different opinions.
Yep.
But there is a courtesy in public discourse.
Right.
You don't go doing this, but he sort of put me in my place, apparently. So that was okay. We kicked out Planned Parenthood at that time. Of course, the Shore Clinic is Planned Parenthood. That's
okay.
who they are. But no, it's been an absolute roller coaster, to be honest with you.
For sure.
And we've had such marvelous people with us.
Yeah.
They've just been unbelievable. The people that will come on the board, the people that will buy memberships, the folks that will give us money. Mm-hmm. I've never had enough to be able to donate thousands and thousands.
Right.
But some people have, and their hearts are so generous.
Yeah. It's such a blessing, really, that we can have those people. For sure.
And then, of course, we have all our nice young board members, of which all.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
What would you say to people who are not yet involved with the Guelph and Area Right to Life?
Why aren't you? That's what I'd say. Why aren't you? We live, and we have, we've had to work through all of this way before you were born. This country went through, and what I call all three big life areas. Then there's a Royal Commission on Reproductive Technology that we had to face all and write briefs and do things about. Euthanasia started with Sue Rodriguez and has continued. And the strange part of it was, in the beginning, it was all children that were killed. Yep. Children in
horrible,
whose parents should care for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the abortion issue in 1988. Of course, the Supreme Court struck down the law. It was not a perfect law, but at least in law it showed us, that you don't take life
so easily. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I would say, if you're anywhere near my age, why the heck are you not a member? Yeah. And if you're a young person, why are you listening to what the other side is saying? I mean, we're being taught to believe that if a husband and wife had that sexual intimacy, what they produce in the woman is not a human being. Well, it's not a carrot, is it? It's not a cabbage.
Right.
Of course it's a human being. And our law still doesn't define our children in the womb as human beings.
Yeah.
So there is so much work to do. And, we've seen one of our founding members, Paul Tesaro, and still got the heart for it.
Yes, which is so beautiful.
Not the energy and not the ability anymore.
Right.
So it needs the young ones to take the torch and keep challenging and keep witnessing in love and everything.
Of course.
But, so I'd say if you're not a member, you really need to give me a very good reason why you're not.
Right. Start asking that question. Why are you not?
And I would like to show everybody, if I may.
Yes.
I know people maybe don't realize it, but our mayor, when Guelph Right to Life began, when we got our incorporation, the mayor, Norm Jerry, he came and he cut the ribbon for us to open our little office, which was, and I wasn't there then, but I've seen photos, it was half of a garage.
Really?
That's what it was. And
Wow.
when I first became president, it was still half of a garage, and it had no washroom.
Okay.
So you really needed to have a very, very good bladder if you were going to be because it was something else. And then we had somebody found us an office on Suffolk Street, but we had an $85 rent, this one, and it went up to $300. And the panic in the board of having to find $300 a month to go in there.
Right.
And then we went to Cork Street, and we were there for quite some time, and we loved it, but then the rent went skyrocketing.
Right.
And so now we have our little cottage up at the Basilica.
Right.
But we had a man open us, and now this year we have just got the most beautiful, sorry I should show you.
Oh, thank you.
The most beautiful plaque.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Wonderful work that we've done, and this is from the mayor of Guelph and the city of Guelph.
That's amazing.
So even though we have rubs with everybody,
Yeah.
there's still the recognition that without Guelph Right to Life, we would never have had Michael Hans.
Yeah.
You know, that the committee that took that over, the beautiful charity that it is on its own now, that would not have been there.
Yeah.
And we would never have had this garden and all the wonderful things we're hopefully going to do in the future. And I will give a couple, but the board don't really know too much about it yet. But there is an amazing project called Hope's Cradle, where beautiful, it's a safe box that you can place a baby in.
Okay.
We've got a lot of work, and we have to decide whether we would do it. But there's another thing: if a mother is stressed so badly or worried for herself or her child, that baby can be gifted into that box at, please God, the fire station. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then the other piece, of course, is to have a mobile pregnancy help unit.
Yeah. So many opportunities and so many areas to contribute and donate if you can't be directly involved.
Absolutely. So all those that are not members, if you didn't think anything we've done so far has been worth it, see what you think about here.
Right.
And we know we've saved babies. I mean, that's Paul said at the end of his, I think, about if you just saved money.
Yeah.
But we know that we have. And God has graced us with seeing some of those little ones. So, yeah, it's wonderful. And I guess I have to close with Sanctuary.
Yes, I was going to ask if you could share more about that, actually.
Amazing program that we've got out there, because our birth rate went down many years ago. We did have beginnings here, and they brought pregnancy outreach.
Okay.
But they have closed too. So we're left now in Guelph with no pro-life pregnancy agency here.
Okay.
Which is why we opened Sanctuary. And not only do we serve Guelph, but we do have a beautiful little fledgling ministry on the University of Guelph.
Okay, really? So, that's really neat.
So this is, of course, there's a place we can't go. Well, we're not invited because apparently we're not inclusive.
Okay.
But it's amazing to me that we would be under that definition given our position on life. And I guess one sadness, and maybe if somebody would like to become a member that is involved in even the schools, that we need to be back in the schools.
I think so.
Showing the schools, showing the students, everybody doesn't think this way.
Right.
This is the way. This is a pro-life worldview, and we're prepared to stand with you every second of your pregnancy.
Yep.
In front of. I have been thrown out of so many homes, I have to tell you, because the girls wanted me to go with them.
Really?
And I learned that that bad word beginning with F is exactly the same in Portuguese, because I got told it or twice. Anyway. And, it's not just over the years. It hasn't just been the girls that come to us. We've had the young men who probably want to save their babies.
Yeah, I think that's so important to address too, because sometimes we don't think of that side.
No, we don't. Well, this whole idea that this is just a woman's issue is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is a human issue that we have got to begin to look at, because fine right now, and again, Paul, everybody's seen, Paul alluded to it, you know, if it's hurting, or if we're denying the humanity of one human being, then we're setting ourselves up. Because if we can find a case to say that child, because he or she's unwanted, can be killed, as we do now, that child that has a disability can be killed.
And goes all the way on to euthanasia.
Exactly. The elderly, that is, or the child or the young woman with anorexia.
Right.
You know, or the person who has a mental illness. Quebec has just said, sorry, they've had this earlier. We haven't in Canada, but they have, that you can just ask, even if you have a mental illness, to be killed by euthanasia.
So sad.
But they have just literally passed a bill that on October the 30th this year of 2024, they will have agree with an advance directive that you could have signed 30 years ago, that will stand if you become that you're not quite as competent as you were.
Wow.
So you could, even if you weren't quite as competent, and they want to say to you, you can have MAID because you signed it.
Yeah.
You can say no, but your advance directive will stand.
Wow.
So I mean, we're looking at 36 people a day killed with euthanasia. 60,000 since it started in 2017, and almost 5 million babies dead by abortion since 1969.
Wow.
So it's
so sad.
A picture, and if there's anybody out there that thinks they have talent that could come into our organization and help change this part of the world,
Right.
come on.
Keep on praying.
Keep on praying.
For sure.
So you're coming on board, because I know you were arm twisted a little piece.
It was my pleasure. But I'd love to know, is there anything else you want to share yet? Or?
I think I probably said much more, and if I went too much more,
No, it's been wonderful.
I keep going. But it has been a sacrifice in some ways, and it will be, and I think people need to know that. But it is so amazing to actually work with God, work with people that love life.
Yeah.
Even if we get tired of each other sometimes and fed up with each other, we don't agree with each other. And you don't have to be a professional. I will stop with this, but what I learned very, very early on, I knew a lady, because she helped us. There was a priest who used to tie himself up at the abortion clinics.
Really?
Yes. And anyway, he went to jail because of it. And so the pro-life movement, and including us, used to go in a bus to the detention center and see him. And we'd be outside once a week. Yeah, while he was in prison, we'd be outside and we'd pray our socks off for him. And it is just being part of this, being part of a movement that just will not back down.
Right.
That's no matter how stupid they say we are, or how idiotic what we're saying is, or they can accuse us of everything they want. But this lady helped us get there.
Yeah.
I would love to say her name, but I won't. Anyway, her daughter called me, I guess after this probably about 6 months after, and I had just got in from supply teaching. I was trying to make dinner. I got a meeting to go to, and she said to me, "Mrs. Jeffs, my mum wanted to ask you something, because she has a young girl who's pregnant and she doesn't know how to talk to her."
Yeah.
and I was supposed to be a professional, right? So here I am with all these things, and I said to her, look, just tell that young woman there is nothing no problem she has, no challenge she's facing that she has to face alone, because we're here. That we will not get involved with and help. And by the way, she was, I think, 13 weeks pregnant. Just tell her that her baby looks like her baby. You know, already her little heart's been beating for all these weeks.
Yeah.
There is so much gift there if only she'd have the courage
Right.
to hang in, and we'll be there. So she said thank you and went off, and then I was presenting, I guess, about probably maybe a year after that, because she didn't get back in touch.
Right.
That's what happened. It is what happens, you know. You just have to leave it with God.
Yeah.
I was presenting at the Pentecostal church, and this young woman came up, and she said to me, Mrs. Jeffs, you don't know me, do you? And I said, I'm afraid I don't, but I love that little one. And she said, well, you should, because without you, he wouldn't be here.
So beautiful.
So even in my rush and my you know, God uses the bit that you give to save life.
It gives you those words.
So you want to get involved in that sort of work. When do we as ordinary people ever get to save a life? And it's amazing.
I know.
It's amazing.
Yep.
So there's no excuse.
Truly.